It's that time of the year again. Time to reflect and say goodbye to another amazing, challenging year. I've realized my years never go quite as planned, but they always get me where I need to be. I want to share with you some of my journey, in my words. It's a weird and interesting world I live in, and from the outside, many things could be true or assumed to be true. So here it is. When 2018 came around the corner, I was being pulled in multiple directions. I think it's because I didn't know what I wanted. I had an idea, but not a thought-out plan. I knew I wanted to feel safe. I wanted a place I could call home. I wanted to be in an environment which I could be myself, not the Instagram model. I felt really lost in that version of myself, and looking back, I realized that I needed to find a way back to my own heart. For Christmas, I took a trip to visit my godsister in Hawaii, and I fell in love with the life she became a part of. It made me understand what I was lacking in my own life: community, a purpose, and to be of service. In Hollywood, it's a me, me, me game, and most everyone looks at you with that "what can I get from you" look. Now, I'm not saying that means that they're bad people. It's just the game we fall into. No one is to blame. We're all victims to the same rat race. But it drained me. I'm definitely a girl that follows her heart. I got it from my mom, who taught me to use my heart as a guide. Though I do have to say it pulled me in crazy directions this year. For example, I left my life in LA to live in Hawaii for a year. I packed everything I owned into 3 suitcases and headed over. This was around the time I landed the title of Sports Illustrated Rookie of the Year. I couldn't believe I did it. It was one of my dreams to get that title. And to be honest, I never thought I would be respected as a model. It was a turning point for me, but at the same time, being in the spotlight felt like the wrong path. It was feeding my ego, not my heart. I found love in Hawaii as well. I didn't expect it to happen as it did, but the relationship was one of the most healing and powerful I've ever had. I learned tools for self-growth that I will use for the rest of my life. We would spend mornings practicing yoga and afternoons at the beach. I learned how to cook from scratch, which in return helped my relationship with food. Every day, I felt lucky to be alive. It was like the switch that had been flicked off inside of me finally turned on. I felt connected to the people around me, myself, the community, and I felt like I was enough. The more I connected to myself, the less I connected to social media. It was beginning to feel like I was being torn. I've always considered my job as an influencer to open up with what I'm going through and share what I'm learning. I want to help others not feel so alone with their struggles. But the more I opened up, the more opinions people had. It was an uphill battle, but I ended up surrendering to what I needed to do for my mental health. Allie once told me, all you can do is move towards what feels good to you and live in the questions. Create a home in the uncertainties. Easier said than done, obviously, but hey, that's life. Summer 2018 came, and I felt the traveler in me start to stir. It was time to do one of my favorite things: explore the world. First on the list was Spain, second was Greece, and last was Japan. It was an amazing summer with memories I'll never forget, and some not so good memories that we won't get into. I met so many of you, and I'm so grateful when I do. The fact that I can make a girl smile or cry even from just a hug blows my mind, and it never gets old. I fucking love you guys so much. You motivate me to never stop. As summer came to an end, I made my way back to Hawaii. That's when I got the call from Dancing with the Stars. At first, my initial reaction was no. It wasn't necessarily on my list of goals, and it was a huge commitment. I thought it over for a couple days and made a list of pros and cons. But then Mom came to mind. This was her favorite show of all time. I could do this for her and share our story. Maybe by doing so, I could help girls who have lost their mom also. I could do it in honor of women. That was it. That was my why. I set back to LA, not sure what I was getting myself into. I knew it would be physically draining, but never in my life did I think it was going to be as emotionally draining as it was. From the moment I stepped into those studios, it became my life. I was there 6 hours every day, dancing to music I've never heard of and learning dances I've never done, in front of cameras that would never stop recording. It was terrifying to say the least. I don't know about you, but I had no idea what a jive was, but I sure as hell found out. I felt sore every day, and I managed to fracture not one, but 2 ribs. I was using my body like a machine. Show days were hard, but that was the easiest day of the week, to be honest. I think Tuesdays were the hardest because it was the day after the show, which meant new dance, new creative, and there was never enough time to actually enjoy the feeling of being safe each week. I can't tell you how many times I was on stage thinking, is this real life? It was the most exhilarating experience I've gone through. I was convinced I was going to wake up from a dream, but I didn't, and as each week went by, I was safe. I started to feel distant from the life I lived before the show, as if it wasn't for the person I was becoming. Heartache started to set in as I knew what that meant. To be honest, I don't really want to get into the details of the relationship ending. The timing could have been better, but no, it had nothing to do with another person. It was just time. He's an amazing guy, and I see him really making a difference in other people's lives in a big way. We remain in contact, and I really respect him. Maybe at another time, things might have ended differently. But I am so young, and honestly, I don't always get things right. There are many amazing things that happened during my run on the show. One of them was dedicating a dance to my mom, and that was by far my favorite moment. I'll never forget how it felt to just let all of the emotions I've suppressed from her death rise up in front of millions of people. It was so powerful to be that vulnerable and to share the pain I've hidden inside. During my interviews on the show, I also spoke about a lot of things like women empowerment, my struggles with social media, my eating disorder, and so much more. I wanted to help girls that felt as I did in this day and age. They didn't end up using any of it for the show. Instead, they focused on my confusion and feelings around my partner that I was spending 6 intense hours a day with during a very vulnerable point in my life. He is funny, he is talented, and he is an amazing human being. We are friends. We may never be more than that, and I have to trust in the unfolding of my life. What you saw was real, but they did turn it into a fucking Disney princess movie. I was consumed by Dancing with the Stars for 3 months, so when it ended, I felt like I got spit out of a vortex. I knew I was going to feel withdrawals from an experience like that, so I arranged a trip to Japan to keep myself occupied and moving towards my goals. It was definitely the right move. I created a company in Japan last year, so I've been working on expanding my brand in Asia. My goal is to be a bridge to connect the 2 worlds. I've always been passionate about health and nutrition, so I have a lot of ideas regarding health supplements, skincare, workout methods, and even eventually a cafe with some of my favorite dishes. I'm really excited to see where that side of my life takes me. Once I got back to LA, I sat down with myself and reflected back on the year. 2018 was amazing, crazy, and unexpected. It was everything I could have asked for and more. I had no idea what I was doing, but that's what made it so fun. I showed up for myself this year like I never have before, and in return, I was able to be a stronger, more loving person towards everyone I love. Life doesn't get easier, but you sure as hell get stronger. I mean, I'm 22 now. What could go wrong?